Denmark's royal court responds to rumors, and the nation reacts, the statement that changed everything. Welcome to B News. What happens when months of whispered speculation, online conspiracy theories, and tabloid innuendo finally force a royal palace to break its legendary silence and address rumors head-on? On December 4, 2024, the Danish royal court did something it almost never does. It issued a direct, unprecedented response to the swirling rumors that have been consuming Danish social media, dinner table conversations, and newsrooms for weeks. And the nation's reaction has been nothing short of explosive. Within hours of the official statement being released from Amalienborg Palace, Denmark transformed into a country divided not just by what the royal court said, but by what it didn't say, by what it confirmed, by what it denied, and most intriguingly, by what it carefully avoided addressing altogether. The response has triggered a national conversation that goes far beyond the specific rumors themselves, touching on questions of privacy, transparency, the role of monarchy in modern society, and whether royal families have any right to keep secrets in an age when every citizen with a smartphone considers themselves an investigative journalist. From the elegant streets of Copenhagen to the smallest villages in rural Jutland, Danes are debating, arguing, analyzing, and trying to make sense of a statement that was clearly intended to calm troubled waters but may have instead stirred them into a tempest that the royal court never anticipated. To understand why this royal court response has generated such intense national reaction, we need to examine the rumors that have been building throughout late 2024 and why they became impossible for the palace to ignore any longer. The rumors fall into several distinct categories, each more sensational than the last, and each amplified by social media to the point where they achieved a kind of critical mass that demanded official response. The first set of rumors concerned the health and well-being of former Queen Margrethe II, who abdicated suddenly in January 2024 after over 50 years on the throne. Since stepping down, the former queen has maintained an unusually low public profile, making only a handful of carefully controlled appearances and cancelling several engagements that had been on her schedule. This withdrawal from public life sparked immediate speculation online that her health was far worse than officially acknowledged, with some social media users claiming she was seriously ill, others suggesting she was suffering from cognitive decline, and still others promoting conspiracy theories that she had been forced to abdicate against her will and was now essentially being kept in isolation by the royal court. These theories gained traction partly because of their inherent drama but also because the official explanations for her reduced schedule, that she was enjoying a well-earned retirement after decades of service, seemed insufficient to many observers who remembered how energetic and engaged Queen Margrethe had been right up until her abdication announcement. The second category of rumors centered on the relationship between King Frederik X and Queen Mary, and these proved even more persistent and damaging. Throughout 2024, eagle-eyed social media users began documenting instances where the royal couple appeared at events separately when they might have been expected to appear together, analyzing body language and photographs for signs of tension or distance, and noting that their social media presence seemed more formal and less warm than in previous years. By autumn 2024, whispers that had started on gossip forums and tabloid websites had evolved into full-blown speculation. That the royal marriage was in trouble, with some sources claiming the couple was living separately, others suggesting they were remaining together only for the sake of the monarchy, and the most extreme theories alleging infidelity on one side or both. These rumors were particularly damaging because King Frederik and Queen Mary had long been presented as a modern fairy tale, the crown prince who fell in love with an Australian commoner during the Sydney Olympics and built what appeared to be a genuine partnership based on mutual respect and affection. If that narrative was false, or if it had soured into dysfunction, it would undermine one of the Danish monarchy's strongest assets in the eyes of younger, more skeptical Danes. But before we dive into what the royal court actually said in response to these rumors and how the nation has reacted, make sure you're subscribed to this channel and have your notifications turned on so you never miss the stories that are shaping our world in real time. And if you're already hooked on this unfolding royal drama, and how could you not be, hit that like button to help us continue bringing you the in-depth coverage that goes beyond the headlines. Now, let's examine the royal court's statement and the explosive national reaction it has generated. The third category of rumors involved Prince Joachim, King Frederik's estranged younger brother, and his increasingly visible distance from the royal family. Throughout 2024, Prince Joachim has been living in Washington, D.C. where he serves as Denmark's defense attaché, and his rare returns to Denmark for official functions have been marked by visible tension with his brother and careful avoidance of extended family interaction. But in recent weeks, rumors began circulating that Prince Joachim was planning something dramatic. Some claimed he was going to renounce his royal title entirely and become a private citizen. Others suggested he was writing a tell-all memoir that would expose family secrets and settle scores, and still others promoted theories that he was being courted by Republican activists to become the face of a movement to abolish the Danish monarchy. These rumors were particularly credible because Prince Joachim had already demonstrated his willingness to speak publicly about his grievances when his children's titles were stripped in 2022, breaking the royal family's traditional code of silence about internal matters. If he was willing to criticize his mother and brother in Danish media interviews then, what might he be willing to do now after a year of continued estrangement? The fourth and perhaps most explosive category of rumors involved allegations about financial impropriety within the royal household. Anonymous sources claiming to be former palace staff members had been leaking information to Danish media outlets throughout the fall of 2024, suggesting that royal household expenses were significantly higher than publicly reported, that certain members of the royal family were using state funds for personal luxuries that went far beyond their official duties, and that there was a lack of proper accounting and oversight for how taxpayer money allocated to the monarchy was actually being spent. In a country like Denmark, where egalitarian values run deep and where there's generally low tolerance for elite privilege or waste of public resources, these financial rumors were particularly damaging. They fed into existing concerns that monarchy is an outdated institution that drains resources better spent on social programs, and they gave ammunition to Republican activists who argued that Danish citizens deserve full transparency about how their money is being used to support a hereditary royal family. The royal court's response, released on the morning of December 3, 2024, was remarkable both for what it addressed and for the directness with which it spoke. The statement began by acknowledging that the royal court had been monitoring the various rumors and speculation circulating in media and online platforms, and that after careful consideration, it had been decided that a formal response was necessary to address misinformation and provide clarity to the Danish people. This opening itself was significant. Danish royal communications typically ignore rumors entirely, operating on the principle that dignified silence is preferable to engaging with gossip and speculation. The decision to break that pattern signaled that the situation had become serious enough to warrant a departure from standard protocol. The statement then addressed each category of rumors in turn, though with varying degrees of specificity and transparency that have themselves become subjects of intense analysis and debate. Regarding former Queen Margrethe's health and reduced public schedule, the royal court statement was relatively forthcoming. It confirmed that the former queen continues to recover from the back surgery she underwent in early 2023 and that her healing process has been slower and more challenging than initially anticipated. The statement revealed that she has experienced ongoing pain and mobility limitations that make extended public engagements difficult, and that her medical team has recommended a reduced schedule to allow for proper rest and recovery. However, the statement firmly denied rumors of serious illness or cognitive decline, describing Queen Margrethe as mentally sharp, engaged with family and friends, and actively pursuing her personal interests including her artwork and translation projects. The statement included a direct quote attributed to the former queen herself, expressing her gratitude for public concern but requesting privacy as she focuses on her health and spending time with family. This level of detail and personal attribution was unusual for royal medical matters, suggesting that the palace felt the rumors had become serious enough to warrant transparency that might ordinarily be considered too invasive of personal privacy. The response regarding King Frederik and Queen Mary's relationship was more carefully worded and has proven to be the most contentious aspect of the entire statement. The royal court acknowledged that the king and queen, like any married couple, navigate the challenges of balancing demanding professional responsibilities with personal and family life. It stated that King Frederik and Queen Mary remain committed to each other, to their children, and to their roles as Denmark's monarchs, and that rumors of marital discord or separation are false. However, the statement also included language that many analysts have interpreted as significant. It noted that the royal couple has been adjusting to the demands of their new roles, following the unexpected transition when Queen Margrethe abdicated, and that they have sought appropriate support in managing the pressures that come with being king and queen. This phrase, sought appropriate support, has triggered intense speculation about what exactly it means. Does it refer to marriage counseling, individual therapy, simply advice from trusted advisors? The vagueness has actually fueled more rumors rather than quelling them, with various interpretations being debated across Danish media and social platforms. Some see the acknowledgement of seeking support as refreshingly honest and humanizing, evidence that even royals face challenges and are willing to address them. Others interpret it as an implicit admission that there were indeed problems in the marriage, even if they're now being addressed, and question what the statement isn't saying about the specific nature of those problems. The statement's handling of the Prince Joachim's situation was perhaps its most surprising element. Rather than minimizing the family tensions or claiming that everything has been resolved, the royal court acknowledged directly that the relationship between King Frederik and Prince Joachim has been strained and that the decision to remove royal titles from Prince Joachim's children in 2022 caused genuine hurt that has not been fully healed. The statement expressed regret for how that situation was handled and announced that King Frederik has been in recent communication with his brother seeking a path toward reconciliation and closer family relations. This represents an extraordinary admission of error by royal standards. Monarchies traditionally project infallibility and dignity, never publicly acknowledging mistakes or family dysfunction. The decision to be this transparent about internal family conflict suggests either that the palace felt complete honesty was necessary to restore credibility, or that they're laying groundwork for some kind of public reconciliation gesture that they want the public to understand and support. The statement concluded this section by noting that Prince Joachim remains a valued member of the royal family and that the door is always open for closer cooperation and renewed relationship, though it notably did not confirm or deny the specific rumors about him planning to renounce his title or write a memoir. The financial transparency section of the statement was the most detailed and the most clearly designed to counter specific allegations. The royal court announced that it would be implementing new measures to increase financial transparency and accountability, including the publication of more detailed annual reports on royal household expenditures, the establishment of an independent audit process for royal finances, and the creation of clearer guidelines distinguishing between official expenses that should be publicly funded and personal expenses that should be borne privately by members of the royal family. The statement firmly denied allegations of financial impropriety or misuse of public funds, characterizing the anonymous allegations as baseless and motivated by those who wish to undermine public confidence in the monarchy. However, the statement also acknowledged that historical practices around royal finances have not always met the transparency standards that contemporary Danish citizens reasonably expect, and committed to doing better going forward. This combination of denial and reform commitment has been interpreted in multiple ways. Some see it as the palace admitting there were problems while refusing to explicitly state what they were, while others view it as a proactive modernization effort that isn't actually an admission of wrongdoing. The immediate public reaction to the royal court's statement was intense and deeply divided, revealing fault lines in Danish society that go far beyond opinions about specific rumors. One segment of the Danish public, particularly younger, more progressive citizens who have been skeptical of monarchical privilege, responded with a mix of vindication and continued skepticism. Many in this group felt that the rumors must have had some basis in truth for the royal court to respond so extensively and with such unusual transparency. Social media comments from this demographic often expressed sentiments like, "Where there's smoke there's fire," and, "They're only admitting what they can no longer hide." These critics argued that the careful language in the statement, particularly around King Frederik and Queen Mary's relationship and the phrase about seeking appropriate support, was essentially confirming marital problems while trying to minimize them. They questioned why, if everything was fine, such an extensive statement was necessary at all, and they viewed the promises of financial transparency as implicit acknowledgement that previous practices were indeed problematic even if specific wrongdoing was denied. However, another significant segment of the Danish public, particularly older citizens and traditional monarchy supporters, responded to the royal court statement with sympathy and appreciation. Many in this group expressed the view that the royal family is being held to impossible standards, that they're being subjected to invasive scrutiny that ordinary citizens would find intolerable, and that the decision to respond to rumors with transparency and honesty deserves praise rather than cynicism. Comments from this demographic often emphasized themes of privacy, human dignity, and the right to address personal challenges without public dissection. These supporters argued that the acknowledgement of seeking support for the pressures of royal life should be seen as courageous and destigmatizing, showing that even people in the highest positions can struggle with stress and relationship challenges and that seeking help is a sign of strength rather than weakness. They viewed the royal court statement as striking an appropriate balance between transparency and maintaining some boundaries around personal matters, and they expressed frustration with what they see as a culture of gossip and speculation that refuses to respect any limits on public curiosity about royal private lives. A third group, perhaps representing the largest segment of Danish public opinion, responded to the statement with what might be characterized as qualified acceptance mixed with continued questions. These moderate Danes appreciated the royal court's willingness to address rumors directly rather than maintaining traditional royal silence, and they generally accepted the explanations provided while acknowledging that some uncertainties remain. This group tends to focus less on trying to parse every word of the statement for hidden meanings and more on the broader question of what kind of relationship Danish citizens should have with their royal family, how much transparency is reasonable to expect, where the line should be between legitimate public interest and invasive gossip, and whether the monarchy can adapt to 21st century expectations while still maintaining the dignity and mystique that make it distinctive. Many in this group have expressed hope that the royal court's statement represents the beginning of a new era of more open communication between the palace and the public, while also recognizing that complete transparency is neither possible nor necessarily desirable for any family, royal or otherwise. The media response has been equally varied and revealing of different institutional perspectives and agendas. Denmark's mainstream, established media outlets have generally reported the royal court statement with a tone of measured analysis, bringing in royal experts, historians, and constitutional scholars to provide context and interpretation. These outlets have tended to emphasize that the statement represents a significant departure from traditional royal communication practices and that its willingness to acknowledge imperfection and challenge may actually strengthen the monarchy by making it seem more human and relatable. However, Danish tabloids and celebrity gossip media have responded quite differently, with many suggesting that the statement raises more questions than it answers and promising continued investigation into the rumors and the royal family's private affairs. Headlines like, "What the Palace Isn't Telling You," and "The Truth Behind the Royal Statement," reflect a media ecosystem that profits from ongoing speculation and controversy and has little incentive to accept the royal court's explanations at face value. Online media and independent commentators have perhaps been the most diverse in their responses, with some praising the palace for transparency while others dissect every phrase looking for inconsistencies or evasions. International media coverage of Denmark's royal rumor response has been extensive, with particular interest from other countries with constitutional monarchies. British media, always fascinated by royal dynamics, have covered the story extensively, with many drawing comparisons to the British royal family's own struggles with rumors, media management, and the tension between privacy and public interest. Some British commentators have suggested that the Danish royal court's decision to address rumors directly represents a more